Hey, thanks for checking out my channel. If this is your first time, if it's not your first time, thanks for coming back. I love you. And if this is your first time, then think about subscribing, even though I couldn't say that phrase correctly. I'm John Stark from MacMovieGuy.com, and it's that season. The season of reviewing movies in time for Halloween. This time, it's Hocus Pocus. Not necessarily the scariest movie I could be reviewing, but we all know that Disney Plus is releasing Hocus Pocus too, so I figured why not? Let's just rewatch the first one and talk about it. This is definitely not my first time seeing Hocus Pocus, so don't look at me like that. I know, even though I'm blind, I'm a blind film critic. I can still, I feel you looking at me and being like, is this his first time seeing Hocus Pocus? It is not my first time seeing Hocus Pocus. So yes, it is my first time watching it with audio description. So that was fun. Thank you, Laura Post, for your terrific audio description on Hocus Pocus, provided by Deluxe. Yeah, I'm giving a shout out right up at the top. I thought that was really good. It is still one of those things that we now deal with. Just as a blind community, as we're pushing for more audio description, where the audio description track is so much newer than the actual soundtrack to the film. Just to let you know, there's a little bit of a difference. You'll notice that like Laura Post sound like she recorded yesterday, and the movie does not. So this is the film that just kind of, I don't know how we did this. I don't know how this film became so massively popular, because it did not do well in theaters. Kenny Ortega's directing career with Disney was not like a huge hit, but like, it's funny how his films have survived the test of time. Like Newsies has its own like following, and it turned into a Broadway musical. So, he has a way of catching on later in life. Like, he's something that someone of an acquired taste, like a fine wine that needs to age for a while, that you put away for a while, and then like 20 years later you're like, hey, oh my god, what about Newsies? That was really good when I was a kid. Then suddenly we start talking about Newsies or Hocus Pocus or whatever. But yeah, Hocus Pocus, critics didn't like it. It didn't do well at the box office, and they just kind of let it, they assumed it would just kind of go away, but it never did. A very loyal and devoted following for Hocus Pocus and the Sanderson sisters, possibly the Bette Midler army. I'm sure she has a ton of fans. I'm sure they've kept this film alive. And the fact that some of the cast went on to do bigger and better things has meant that nobody has, this cast has not lived in obscurity. I did love seeing that Binks was voiced by Jason Marsden. That was one of my favorite things at the end. I was like, oh my god, it is? I was like, that's so 90s. Jason Marsden, what happened to you? Oh. Yeah, he for those who don't remember him, he was barely in anything in like the 90s, but he was also Max in a Goofy movie. So it's the same voice. And in case you're like, oh, why is he getting so excited about this random Marsden? Yeah, it's Max from a Goofy movie. Anyway, so I'm such a nerd. So Hocus Pocus has, there's like theme park events and everything now. You can go to Disney World, and there's a Hocus Pocus stage show that has sort of like come out of nowhere in the more recent years, where they have people, at first it was going to be like a one-off, and then Disney realized how popular it was, and now they bring it back for their Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween every year. So it gets its due. Hocus Pocus is officially now like a thing. There's merchandise and all sorts of things. So good job, film lovers. We can actually take a film and turn it from a flop and make it feel like it's a cultural touchdown. I love when we do that. I love when there can be a film also that's the complete reverse of this, and it makes a ton of money at the box office, or it gets like a lot of Oscar nominations, and then we just like totally forget it ever existed. So like it doesn't really matter. It just matters, did people like it, and will it last? Will it stand the test of time? And it's really hard to say that in the moment. You know, we look at films today and you don't know what film is actually going to be talked about 20 years from now, because there could be something like Hocus Pocus that was just released 2 weeks ago that you don't know has a really devoted fan following, and all of a sudden, 20 years from now, we're going to be talking about it. Donnie Darko didn't do shit in theaters. And like, I mean, that thing has a massive following. So Boondock Saints and a whole bunch of films that were passed over. So, yeah, we're at Hocus Pocus, and I don't know how many times I've seen this. I know I saw it as a kid, back when I was trying to watch family-friendly Halloween entertainment, like the kind of entertainment I was allowed to watch that was spooky. I had parents that parented me, and I wasn't allowed to watch scary things. I didn't watch R-rated movies until later on in life. And even when I did, they weren't like the violent ones. They were like dramas that would put me to sleep. Like British dramas that were rated R for maybe some thematic content or something. But this started me out really low. My first R-rated movie, and my first and only R-rated movie for a while, was Terminator 2. So yeah, I was limited to pretty much things like Hocus Pocus and Ernest Scared Stupid and Are You Afraid of the Dark? So I grew up on children's horror made for kids. And I enjoyed that. I enjoyed it a lot. So I'm really happy that Hocus Pocus has stood the test of time. I don't really know what else to offer you about Hocus Pocus, except maybe this viewing, I'm older and wiser. I don't have kids, so I didn't get a chance to sit down and watch it with kids and be like, oh, hey, let's share this experience together. And I'm blind, so I had to watch it with audio description. I remember what their costumes look like. I remember a lot of things. I don't remember the film perfectly, but I remember enough of it, enough of the imagery, sort of like in photo stills. It didn't bring the whole film back, but it brought back like little glimpses for me from what I could see. But yeah, the audio descriptions are really good from everything that I can remember. I think it's a really funny Disney film because of the constant references to him needing to be a virgin. And I was thinking about, was that problematic back in the 90s? Where like a bunch of kids being like, Mama's a virgin. Mom, am I a virgin? I want to be able to light a candle. It's like, maybe that's why the film bombed, is because parents are like, we do not want to have to explain what a virgin is to our kid, because they do use that word a lot, and it is a requirement to be able to light the candle. So anyway, yeah, if you weren't ready to have that conversation with your kid, you were probably like, please stop saying that word, please stop saying that word. Because kids, they hear a word and they're like, hey, what does that word mean? And you're like, ask your father. Something like that. Ask your mother. Just like to pass the buck. Get it out of here. But yeah, that was something that I did notice this time around. I was like, man, that's a lot. They don't just use it once. They really want to make you know. Yeah, I really hated the bullies in this film too. I would have had no problem. Maybe this is the growing up part of me, but the Sanderson sisters had like disappeared, killed, sucked the life out of whatever those bullies. They were a bit much. I mean, people like that don't grow up to be good people. People like that grow up to be Proud Boys. So like, the dude has like ice like carved into the back of his head. These are not kids. He did not grow up to run a Fortune 500 company. He's not a doctor. Ice is not. You know what I'm saying? Like, when we see Hocus Pocus 2, I'm sure Ice is going to get the same treatment that was suggested of Sid in Toy Story 3, you know, the trash truck driver. Not to bash on trash truck drivers, but no, it's just that he's just not. Those kids are, you know, I don't know. I don't know what they're gonna do. Like run a gang, drugs on the street, and something. But nothing good will ever come of them. They're not. There's no bright future for them. So the fact that they were left in cages at the end made me laugh. I was like, just leave them there. Maybe people will forget that this house exists and they'll just stay in cages forever. And then the town will be so much better because of it. It's like, does the town not know that, that they're walking around aggressively bullying everybody? They bully so many people. It's like, how does nobody else have a parent that just walks out and is like, hey, I have a gun. Leave my child alone. Like, what? I feel like maybe those are films we would make today. But instead, in the early 90s, we made a film where bullies just ran the town. I mean, just middle school bullies, high school bullies. I don't even know what age those kids were, but they were like running the whole town. It didn't matter if you were a boy or girl. They were just fucking with everybody, stealing everybody's shit. I was like, this is basically a gang. They've basically formed a gang. So I have no emotional connection to anything that will ever happen to them during the course of this movie. But that is the point. So yeah, it's Hocus Pocus, and it's out there, and it's on Disney. And I could talk about it forever, but you've seen it and I've seen it. And the fact that we've already talked about it this long, really, I just came here to talk about Laura Post and her audio description and how great it is, because it really is. And if you want to share it with your child, if you have a blind child, if you have somebody in your family who's blind and you're looking for something that just everybody can watch, and you can watch it with the audio description for the Halloween season, and it's family friendly, man, this nails all. This is on all cylinders. It's got great audio description. It's fun for the whole family, as long as you're willing to talk about what a virgin is to the little kid that doesn't know what that is yet. And it's got 3 great performances from Bette Midler, Sarah Jessica Parker, and Kathy Najimy. So can't wait to see them in the sequel. I'm really excited. Thanks, Disney, for making a sequel. I don't usually say that because sometimes sequels can be terrible, and there's a part of me that is a little worried, but we shall see. At least we're attempting something, I guess, with the original sisters. If it wasn't the original 3, I would hate it if they were not in the film. So, anyway, that's it for me. I'm going to go ahead and grade Hocus Pocus. It's really hard for me to grade this because I've got like nostalgia on the brain. And I don't, but that being said, I've said nostalgia's on the brain. I said I grew up with this film. I said that, I've got like rose-colored glasses when it comes to this. And it's kind of, there's no objectivity here. I'm just going to give Hocus Pocus an A. I've been living with this film my whole life, and it's come to the point where I love it, and I love watching it, and I can watch it whenever, and I don't really care. So, is it an A film? For somebody watching it for the first time, probably not. But it's an A film for anybody else who's been watching it all these years. So, that's the answer to your question. Anyway, thanks for watching this review, and hopefully you can head over to my website, maxmovieguy.com, and read more reviews. You can go to the Audio Description Project, adp.acb.org, and they'll let you know what movies have audio description and where you can watch them, which is great when you're looking for a movie this Halloween. You can find scary movies with audio description on different streaming services. or find out which movies have DVDs with audio description on them. And then also the adna.org, where you can look up the illustrious career of Miss Laura Post and check out what else she's done. She's done a lot for Disney. Like a lot. Like a lot. Like a lot. Anyway, that's it for me. So I gotta go review something else, and I will see you on the other side.